Kim.
Hi, this is Shauna.
Hi, this is Kay. This is Thriving LDS Singles Sisters Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the LDS Thriving Singles Podcast. Hey, Tracy. It's so good to have you here. So this is our very first discussion in LDS Thriving Single Sisters. And we thought it would be a perfect time to talk about how we handle being single during the holiday season, since the holiday season is coming up. And luckily, we have a good example of all the different things that we come across when we're single. Kay, who has been widowed for the last 5 years, so she has a very different experience, as well as having been married before and has a large family of yours, mine, and ours. And there's Shauna, who went through a divorce and is now happily married and has a combined family of many kids as well. And so we can speak to what she has been through. Myself had a 35-year marriage and I am now divorced. And so I have that newly divorced perspective. And then Tracy has been single all of your life. And so she has yet another unique perspective on being single and being in the church through the holidays. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to bring all four of our perspectives together and talk about being single and how we navigate and manage the holidays. But before we do anything, we have already had interviews with myself and Shauna and Kay. And so we know each other fairly well. But Tracy, you're new to our group. So maybe just give us a brief introduction so that everybody knows a little bit more about you.
All right. So I live in the Salt Lake City area. I have worked in technology for many years. Still working in technology, working on a doctorate at the moment in strategic leadership. I also have been working on my own business, my own podcast, similar to what you ladies are doing right now. And also staying active in the church and being involved in my family and in my community. A little bit about me.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah. And
Great to be here.
Tracy and I actually met taking the self-reliance course on growing your own business.
Mm-hmm.
So
big
that's
proponent.
where we us met.
Big proponent of the self-reliance courses for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been through more than just the growing your business course, right? But they are very valuable.
Yeah. I also did the personal finance and the find a better job. So yeah, I've done several of them and been blessed by them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they are great. It was my first experience of connecting my faith to growing a business, and it made everything so much more meaningful. So
for sure.
All right, so let's start talking about being single and how we navigate being single or blending families and how we manage, especially over the holidays. Does anybody feel strongly of something they want to share right off the bat?
Maybe we can just talk about the most meaningful, like when I was first single, that first year, that first Christmas was a big thing for me. Of course, now it's been 18 years of marriage, and maybe each of you can pick one thing. What was the hardest, Kay? Kay, was yours when you left your first husband, or was it when this husband passed away? Like maybe something really memorable, because there's probably a lot.
Yeah. So the first Christmas when you become single, whether it's from divorce or it's really hard. So my husband died in November. So December, of course, came quite quickly. And you're still in a major fog. Like it was just, and yet I had not young children, but teenage children. And you can't just, and little grandchildren who were excited and things. And Actually, one of the sweetest things was I've got an older grandchild who's, I guess she was probably only 22 or something at the time. And she came round to me sometime in December and said, Nanny, would you like me to help you put up the Christmas tree?
Oh,
yeah. And it was like, I think I just, I'm not going to do that. And she said, oh, come on, let's do it. And then so we got the other two girls, and some of the younger two girls involved as well. And we had a really nice time doing that. And so I think in one of my interviews, I was saying it's the little things that people do that make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of those little things. But certainly having the children all gather around and support was really valuable. In the divorce, of course, you've got the problem that the partner's still there. And that first Christmas after divorce was tricky because we've got to negotiate how this is going to work. And we had got divorced was separated in about April, so it wasn't so close. And so we actually we had quite young children. And so we basically had half the day each. But I remember when the kids were with him, like you've got half a day on Christmas Day where you're completely alone. And you've never, ever had that experience. And you're just sitting there, oh, what do I do now? And so that was, but yeah, sharing the day, it turned out quite easy because he didn't live that far away. And so we were able to share our children quite well in the divorce. But yeah, one of the little boys, he was 5, I think, at the time, he said, oh, this is good because now I get 2 presents, one from mum and one from dad.
Look at the positive.
Yeah.
We found the positive.
That's actually my memory. I grew up with divorced parents, and yeah, I got to have Christmas with one, and then New Year's was when Santa was coming back around and he would give us Christmas at the other at my house.
Whoa.
So I always got
Made a U-turn.
Yeah, he made a U-turn. Took him a little bit longer, but so that was my favorite. Shauna, how about you?
So I'm thinking with mine, there weren't 2 Christmases because he was in prison. It was actually really hard. He went to jail I left him in October. He went to jail in November, and I am a single mom with no child support, thinking I don't even know how we're going to eat, let alone how am I going to do Christmas. And I went into a survival mode. I just was like, I really don't remember a lot of things just because I was just like going, because I was trying to make everything feel normal. So I had put up my Christmas tree, and a lady in the neighborhood saw the Christmas tree and said, oh, if you'll decorate mine, I'll pay you. I was like, people do that? So went and put up the Christmas tree and then got paid. And then that person sent me to these people. And then I did it with a friend of mine, and we did, I don't even know how many trees that year. And then they'd be like, can you guys paint bathrooms? We're like, we can do anything. So that gave me money to pay for the 6 kids, because Brielle was 2. My oldest was 14. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah. So Tracy, how about you? Tell us about being single and starting out on your own, and tell us what experiences you had or what was meaningful for you.
When I was first young and single, I was living close by to most of my siblings, most of my family and siblings. I had moved here at the encouragement of my siblings who were all living here at the time. And so we would celebrate the holidays together, and it was great. Slowly, everybody moved away. And so eventually it got to be just me living here in the area. And so occasionally I would go to my family. It depended on what the time off situation was and that kind of thing with working. At times I've done things with friends. Maybe we'll go out and have dinner at a restaurant. I do try to keep to family traditions on my own. Thanksgiving, I'm watching the Macy's parade in the morning and making a couple of dishes here and there. But yeah, it's a mixed bag. I haven't actually been with my family in quite a long time for the holiday with the pandemic and that kind of thing. But I try to be happy wherever I am, whether I'm celebrating on my own or if I'm out with a friend or if I'm with my family. I would say that there is a mix of traditional and non-traditional for the holidays with me.
Awesome.
How about you, Kim?
So for me, I'm fairly newly divorced. I think the hardest thing for me was having 35 years of traditions that we had built together with our kids. And then those first couple of years, I had not prepared myself for what to expect. There was a part of me that was still thinking, oh, I'm going to do all the same traditions and my kids are going to come and everything's going to be like it always was. Just my ex-husband won't be there. And that wasn't at all what it was like. My kids were all adults at that time, but they were going through a grieving process of losing what used to be. And they had their dad, he had probably a similar expectation. And so then the kids got put in the middle of feeling conflicted. Who do I do this tradition with? And so it ended up, there was a lot of sadness and just the recognition that I was going to have to eventually probably change my traditions or give up on some of my traditions. And those first couple of years were really hard. I think I have lots of brothers and sisters and family, so I had people to spend it with, but it really wasn't the same as being with my kids. As much as I love my mom and dad and my family, it just didn't at all feel the same as the traditions that I'd been doing for 35 years. So I really struggled those first couple of years of what do I do with myself and how do I manage this?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a mourning process, like we were saying with Kay. It's a mourning of something lost.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say, so how did you deal with the emotion of that? Were there other things that you did?
Yeah, so I would say the first couple of years I didn't deal very well with it. I was just really sad until, especially that first year. Just a lot of heartbreak because I didn't get to do the things that I loved and cherished. We were a big tradition family. But eventually a few things happened. One was because I was still fairly new at kind of building my relationship with my Heavenly Father and with Christ and going through that process of reinvesting and being in the church. And so it was really good for me from that perspective because I could really tune into what is Christmas really all about. And I learned to really love Advent and start celebrating from that fourth Sunday all the way till Christmas and cherishing every day and thinking about Christ. And I really invested, I guess I would say, in building my relationship there and learning more and more about Christ and Advent and spending a lot of meditative and alone time with that. And I don't think you get the luxury maybe of doing that when your kids are little, but definitely because mine were all adults, I was able to do that. The other thing I would say is I started taking stock in what are things that I missed out on or things that I didn't do because either my kids or wasn't okay or things that I hated about the traditions that I didn't have to do anymore. So I took an inventory of what are the things I'd really like to let go of and say, oh, we don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to be up till midnight putting lights on the tree because life was so chaotic and hectic and last minute everything. Now I actually get to plan ahead and do it how I want to. And so I got to switch a lot of my traditions. And that was awesome. I did things that I had never done before that I'd always wanted to do. I went to see the Christmas program with the Tabernacle Choir. My cousins took me and it was just amazing. And then, yeah, like I said, I really got to plan out and plan ahead. And that's what I started doing, was really planning, even birthdays, planning my own celebration and thinking, okay, how do I want this to turn out for me? And what do I want to do? And just start planning those things for myself. So eventually I did start to transition, but there's still a part of me, and I've had a lot of discussions with my kids about what do we want to do going forward, because I look forward to having my whole little family, because I don't have humongous families like you guys. We can actually all be in the same room together still, the 3 kids and their kids and significant others, we can all be together. And I still look forward to a time, hopefully, that we'll get to do that and enjoy that. I still have high hopes of that, but that's not my life right now. And I just cherish the time that I get to spend with them, really individually. And that's more about where they are in life. 2 of them are still single and 1 is married, and they have different lifestyles. And so I get to enjoy each one of them separately and individually, which is really awesome too.
I was going to say that one of the things that the holidays are loaded emotionally anyway, but at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, they're also happening at a very dark time, right?
Yeah.
And in a cold time. And I'm one of these people who, it's winter, I kind of don't want to get out. I'm getting a little older and eyes don't see the light in the dark as well anymore. And not only do you have oh, hey, what am I doing for the holidays? But hey, I maybe don't really feel like going out or getting cold, or I don't know. So I think there's a lot going on that we have to push through to find what works for us and what is going to help us celebrate the occasion.
Yeah. You need to travel to Arizona, Tracy. Because it's really nice and sunny here. Or you could go to Australia with Kate.
Australia, not.
I know. I was thinking it's different. The holidays don't have that
It's
darkness going on at the same time in Australia.
Oh, the complete opposite. It's hot. And so, singing the carols of waiting for it to snow, and you're going, oh, yeah, hurry up and snow.
Yeah.
So lots of the traditions you've got don't really translate very well. And I remember in my first marriage, he was English, and so he wanted a traditional Christmas dinner, the turkey and the pudding and all that sort of stuff. It could be 40 degrees, which we keep talking about this. I've got to find the scales. I think 40 is like 110 degrees or something. Hot.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, that's cold, Kate.
No.
Celsius.
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 So it's hot. And yet you still want to have those traditions and things. And we're actually still debating what we're going to do this year. Part of it is being single, but part of it, of course, is children growing up. They're off doing, last year, some of them went off with in-laws. And this year, one of them's decided to go spend it in Melbourne with the others. And it's, and so I want to go be with you, but then I've still got this 20-year-old at home and I don't want to leave her and the grandchild that I'm looking after. I can't leave those 2. And do I pay an airfare to take the 3 of us to Melbourne? So yeah, I think I'd like to hear because my husband was not a member, we tended to do a very worldly Christmas, which I didn't like, but that was what we were doing. And and now it's like you're saying, Kim, I'm at a stage where, I wonder what I want to do. And I actually have no idea. So what are some great ideas you've all got for like how you do something, as you said, maybe more spiritual or more yourself? So Tracy, what are some of the things you do?
I live in the Salt Lake area, and so often I have been fortunate to go to the Tabernacle Choir Christmas concert that Kim was talking about. I also really enjoy the Messiah, and so I will look for an opportunity to see a Messiah performance and sing with my ward choir and that kind of thing. So I think I focus a lot on music over the holidays, and that seems to keep me in the spirit kind of thing, if I can have music going on, and especially sacred music going on. So that's a big thing for me.
Sounds nice. Yeah, the Messiah, because some of the big cathedrals and things put that on, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the Messiah. Same here. I seek out performances of the Messiah. Yeah.
I also really enjoy going to the Christmas carol ceremony at the Catholic Cathedral. So they do a Christmas Eve carol service, which they sing Christmas hymns and read scripture and that kind of thing. I find that just delightful.
That's actually, I'm a convert, and so I grew up in the Church of England.
And
very
same similar.
Very similar, and they had that midnight Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, that doesn't stop us from going to the Christmas Eve service, does it? Because that is so beautiful to go. And
yeah.
I totally recommend that if there's an Anglican or Catholic church doing it in your area, Kay, I think you'd enjoy that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
My Christmas is sheer chaos now.
Yeah.
So I combine.
How blended is your family, Shauna?
I have 6 children and he has 6 children.
Oh, wow.
And while they were growing up, I did keep the same. They didn't go to their dads because he's in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept pretty much the same traditions. I would put the wrapping paper up over their doors so they couldn't sneak down and they had to run through it.
Wow.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's totally.
They sleep. So now, fast forward to now. So all through those Christmases, we had to do really unnormal things. We couldn't, to try to do 12 kids was craziness.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had them all at home, we had them every other year for his, but mine every year. And then as they started getting married and gone, like this year, we'll pick a different date. Like my kids are all coming in, and it's over New Year's. That's when we'll celebrate Christmas together. They'll all come here. We'll all sleep over. I'll put wrapping paper up over the thing, and they're grown. I give them all pajamas. I've always done that. So I have 6 kids, so we'll have 11 adults and 9 children, because I have 27 grandchildren, but we'll have that at that time. So when our year both ways, like my kids would come on Christmas Day and his would come Christmas Eve, or vice versa. We don't have the big all together very often. Yeah.
So how many Christmas dinners do you make?
I don't make any. That's how we're still married. So we will go. That's not true. I will do one. And we go to Little America and we see Santa Claus, and that's a Christmas dinner. That's something we do every year. So we'll go there the 1st of December and sleep there with all the kids. All of them come then. That's a lot of people.
You take up the whole hotel that way.
Yeah, we do.
Has it ever been just you and your husband for Christmas?
The way it hits, there's been one Thanksgiving, but the Christmas part, we just don't even think of it as that day. Whatever day they're there, that's our Christmas.
Got it.
At first, it was really hard on my husband when his kids weren't there. That was tough. Like he met, so that was hard for me because he's depressed and I'm trying to be happy and put on a happy Christmas. But I've learned what that feels like now, that because I never had to not have them until I got married and went the other way. Then I felt what that feels like.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And Kim, what about you?
I will say I love being in Phoenix over the holidays, and just there's nothing better than being in my short pants enjoying the Christmas lights and the I do love that. But and I love just going for the occasional visit to see snow and be able to leave it snow.
Yeah.
And I used to be one that used to get the Christmas or that seasonal blues. So having the sunshine all the time is just very healing and lovely. I love that. But as far as, so like for Thanksgiving this year, my son came down to visit, which was so exciting. I'm super excited to have him here, but we won't make a big Thanksgiving dinner. And then I try at Christmas time. My daughter always has Thanksgiving at her house and always Christmas at her house. And so if I'm there in town, I try and be there and get to go visit them on Christmas mornings, but I don't have a house there. They all have just a unique, different views. I raised my children in kind of that more worldly way too, Kay, where it was all about Santa Claus and not necessarily about Christ. And my three kids have very different views on Christmas and the meaning of Christmas. And I have one family that is very Christ focused and no Santa Claus, and one who doesn't like holidays at all. And my other one who values the meaning of Christmas, but he has a great friend community and loves being with his friends. And I love that he loves spending time with them. So they're all very unique and different. And then my parents and my siblings, we're again that big family, and we celebrate a separate day. So I'll probably go to Salt Lake for one day to be with my mom and dad and all my siblings and all my nieces and nephews. And we have to go to a church or something because it's too big of a group to have at the house. And Shauna, I totally get what you're saying. Just with my brothers and sisters, my dad and my stepmom always feel a little bit bad after those big events because they didn't get one-on-one time with each of the kids and the grandkids because it's just pure chaos.
So much.
And so they are always wanting to have had a little more time to not be running around and to actually be able to spend time with each of us and our families and their great grandchildren now.
Tracy, have you got some people you're going to this year, or what's your plans for this year?
The jury is still out. I think I could. So I'm fortunate that one of my sisters has since moved back to the area with her family. My brother-in-law has a very large extended family, Samoan. And so often I am able to celebrate with them, which is a ton of fun. And I love the Polynesian traditions and that kind of thing. But I might also do my own thing. So we'll see.
So one of the things that you learn is to be able to feel comfortable letting go of stuff, right? Giving yourself permission to do it your way. Or in your case, what you're saying is maybe not at all, depending on how you feel. And that's okay too. And so I think that's an important thing. Sometimes we get really focused on, oh, it has to be this way, or we have to do this tradition, or there's expectations that others have of us that we have to be there or do it a certain way. And we have to give ourselves permission to say, oh, maybe we don't have to do it that way. It's okay to maybe not even do it at all.
Oh, go ahead, Shauna.
I was just going to say, I think that we get to create our new normal. Because that was what was really hard for me, trying to live a life that was not what my brain perceived as normal. You know, I know no one's normal. I figured that out by now. But my normal, I was living really far off of what was my normal. And you are a lot happier if just whatever you do, you say this, it's my normal.
So in 2020, I didn't go anywhere. Nobody in the family really went anywhere. It was still, people weren't going much of anywhere. And so I made myself this enormous vegetarian Thanksgiving dinner. Way too much effort and way too much food. I grew up making for so many people. I don't know how to not make for so many people. And I think if I do my own thing this year, it's going to definitely be toned down quite a bit.
Yeah. And Kay, I think, do I recall a conversation we had where you said maybe your ex is going to be at your Christmas celebration this year? So
Oh, interesting.
That's right. So he's by himself, and he actually lives with one of my sons. He doesn't have a house anymore of his own. And he does a lot of traveling. And so, yeah, he's come back just this week. And so when I was talking about having, two of my children are divorced, and so they're actually not going to get their children until after Christmas. And so there's a whole bunch of us single family members. And so I thought, come round to my house and we'll do Christmas, or we're still looking at maybe we'll go out to a restaurant.
It's not overrated, Kay. It's not overrated.
It's totally
expensive.
awesome.
There's no amount of money not worth it.
Oh, okay. All right. But yeah, but Peter said to me, he said, can we invite Dad? Because he'll be alone. And I'm like, So I divorced this guy something like 30 years ago. And it's one of the things about divorce is that they're always there. They're still there. Yeah. Years later, I'm going to end up having Christmas dinner with my ex-husband because the children are still torn between, do we spend it with mum or do we spend it with dad? And it is my advice to all divorced couples is try and make it so they can spend it with both of you. Don't try and make the kids, even 40-year-old children don't want to choose. And we will do that. But it is certainly, I divorced this guy.
It's going to be interesting.
Divorce is really tough that first year. And then after you get through, ideally, if you're two human beings, it's not too bad. So you can look at him and think, I can't imagine being married to you. It's just incomprehensible. But that doesn't mean you still can't be civil to them.
Yeah.
That's the highest advice I've got to any divorced couples. Try and be civil with your ex because your children are torn. Still their dad. So yes, whether we have it at my house or Peter's house or go out to a restaurant. And then one of the other daughters realized that actually her child was going to be the only child at Christmas because the other son is meeting the other girls down in Melbourne. And so they're going to have Christmas, which is where I actually would like to be with all the kids.
Yeah.
But this granddaughter that's been living with me, she's only 17 and it's like, where's she going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie theaters are a big thing here on Christmas Day too.
We do every year. We go every Christmas Day, but they might be closed there.
Okay. I know there was a bit of a tradition because a lot of the boys are into the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
They would come out the next day. So do you watch the Christmas movies? Do you ever do all those?
Oh yeah, I have a big tradition of watching the Christmas movie. There's some favorites that Thanksgiving Day I start with watching the Christmas movies but
Miracle on 34th Street on Thanksgiving Day because it actually takes place on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I always start with that one. Then there's White Christmas.
I just watch all the Hallmark movies. Anything that has a happy ending. I know how life really ends. So why?
Yeah. I would say, Kay, as far as exes, those first couple of years, I think my kids, there was still a lot of tension. It was hard, but certainly for me now, and I think for my ex as well, being with the kids and the family is by far more important than anything between us. And so I think we want to make sure the kids know that it's perfectly all right for us to be together and hopefully they don't. I remember as a little kid growing up that I always felt tension. Am I going to say the wrong thing to my mom or the wrong thing to my dad or hurt the other one's feelings when they were together? And so I would hope that my kids don't have that same stress of worrying about what they say that's going to cause an issue. Or hopefully they feel like they don't have to worry about that, because that is hard.
It's really important.
And that first few years we lived quite close, and so we shared the kids on Christmas Day, and then I moved to be with the next husband, and so we ended up having to do that sort of different days. And they used to always worry about him because he was alone, and oh, poor dad, we have to spend Christmas with, so as they be in their early 20s, it's poor dad, he's alone, we're going to spend Christmas with him. And it's like, but what about me?
Poor me?
Or me. And they, oh, but you've got Jeff and then I had these babies, and then I had Jeff's family, and it's, oh, you're fine. I'm like, not really. You're my children. I actually want to spend it with you. And then they, oh, but poor dad, he's alone. And they literally tried to do things like we did Christmas Eve, and then they'd drive all the way to his house, which was a couple of 100 miles away, and all sorts of combinations that we tried over the years when they were in that sort of like late teens, early 20s stuff. Now it's the other way around. The kids are just doing their own thing, and the two parents are just lumped in with whatever's
Yeah.
If you want to be with us, just come and spend it with your ex.
That's right. That's what mine is we're all together. You can choose to be there or not.
Yeah,
which is perfectly okay.
But it does, for me, it is there's an ironic twist of the husband that I want to spend it with isn't here, and the husband that I divorced is the one I am spending it with.
So sad.
That is there's a definite ironic twist to that.
For sure.
Well,
but Tracy, how do you feel about all of because it's like the worldly view is all about Santa Claus and children and Christmassy stuff. Like, how does that feel?
sometimes it can be difficult bridging the spiritual with the secular. I try to appreciate the secular, this sort of informant with the spiritual. I love White Christmas, but I also love watching the nativity story, right? So I try to embrace both, but like Christmas Eve is really my day too. This is my spiritual day. And this is when I'm going to the Messiah, or I'm going to the Christmas Carol service, that kind of thing. And Christmas itself, unless it, like last year, was on a Sunday, that was also more of the spiritual day. But I try to, Christmas Eve is my holy day, Christmas Day is my sort of play day kind of thing.
If I'm honest, there was a lot of times that I literally just played along, did what I needed to do, and then felt bad for myself. I cried myself to sleep. I was sad, too much emotion, and it wasn't what I wanted, and it wasn't what I chose.
Mm-hmm.
I was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
It certainly brings up the sadness for me. And even I could sit and listen to the carols. There's a big carol thing on Christmas Eve, but it's like sitting here by myself listening to this. This is hard.
And I think it's probably especially hard for you and I, because we had being alone that way, because we had so much. It was like running all the time. There was no quiet moments. So maybe we didn't sit and think of it so much until it was quiet. So it's harder. It's really hard for me when they're not around me.
Mm-hmm.
And probably some of that is just empty nest syndrome, isn't it? It's always going to happen to us, but you don't have the husband, the father of those children's not there either, and so it's
right.
But yeah, I think the holidays are promoted so much as a family time and spend with your family. The movies are all about families. There's always the families this, the families that.
And they live happily ever after.
Happily ever after. Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't Thanksgiving even more family orientated? Is that, am I right? Or is that?
Yeah, because it's really just a humongous big family meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets really awkward while you're cooking and everything, and everybody's in each other's way, and everybody has their own way of doing this, and now you're all together and you're in somebody's space, and so it gets awkward, and then you have a big prayer and you eat.
And then it's over.
Yeah.
In a moment.
The one thing I would say, we didn't ever have alcohol at there was not, which could be a good thing and a bad thing, right? We didn't ever have anyone getting drunk and saying the irresponsible thing because that just wasn't a part of an LDS holiday. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that, but it's a blessing we don't have that going on, right?
Yeah.
Add to the confusion, alcohol was part of ours, and all my children are inactive as well. For them, alcohol is a part. And you had no member man. You couldn't very well say, "Oh, don't bring alcohol to my house." He ended up drinking very little because he said, "There's no point opening a bottle of wine if you're not going to share it. What's the point?" So he ended up changing some of his behaviours quite a lot. But yeah, Christmas, and we haven't had any. I'm very blessed with a really good children. So even though they're drinking, we haven't had any bad stuff. But yeah, it certainly. Though New Year's Eve last year there was some stuff that happened there that a bit of a scar.
A little questionable, huh?
Yeah, that was a bit.
I would say not uncommon for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we've never had that before, but last year it's definitely left a scar, and it's like we've got to do something different this year. That didn't work.
Yeah.
So my friends and I, there's a group of us. One of us lives downtown, and there'll be 5 or 6 of us that get together to do New Year's Eve together. She lives downtown in a big high rise, and so we can watch what's going on downtown Salt Lake City kind of thing. But it gets to be 10 o'clock, and we're like, I don't think I can make it till midnight. See you guys.
We always celebrate. We always celebrate New Year's with New York.
Yeah. You're like, I can go to bed at 10 and it's New Year's somewhere.
Yeah, the kids don't know.
That's
Wimps.
Yeah.
We actually did that. We have a lovely Australian tradition where a lot of the beachside suburbs will have fireworks. And so you literally sit on the sand at the beach and watch the fireworks. And so they'll often have like food stalls and street performers and all that sort of stuff. And then you go and sit on the beach and watch the fireworks, which is lovely. And they put on 2 sets. So they put on a 9 o'clock fireworks and then a midnight. And yeah, go to the 9 o'clock ones, because the midnight ones, everybody's stupid.
Yeah.
You go to the geriatric one.
Yeah, you go to the geriatric. Well, the children's one. The only problem is here it's hot, and so you'll see some really fun adaptions, like Santa Claus on his surfboard wearing board shorts and his white fluffy coat, but in cotton, and sort of some colourful shorts, surfing to give presents to the kids. And so the Santa Claus is often at the beach.
Is the sand white
on the beach?
Sand white. Nothing like a white Christmas. And as I said, the sun doesn't tend to go down till about 9 o'clock. So even you've got all your lights on your houses and stuff, but you can't see them because it's still light. So a tradition we had when
doing service. Have you guys changed your traditions or done more service? Because that is something I've always thought I have wanted to embrace and do, be at a food kitchen over Thanksgiving or doing those kinds of things, but I haven't done that yet.
We do. We always have taken the kids downtown and we'll go get a bunch of pizza boxes or a bunch of cheeseburgers, like hundreds, and then just take them around to the homeless. We did it with our kids. We do it with our grandkids now. And we make blankets. We'll sit through the holiday season. We'll cut those so the kids feel like they're making a blanket, tying those knots. Then we'll go give those with gloves and hats out.
Just thinking about being alone and single in the holidays, any last kind of parting words or things that you think is really important that you think the LDS single community should be aware of or thinking about?
I would say, don't wait around for someone to invite you. Go out and be the one to invite, because
I love that.
In the end, it's going to hurt. You can say, nobody did this, nobody did that for me. And really, in the end, it just hurts us. Right? No, I think go make like you guys said, think about what you want, right? You were saying, I love that.
Yeah, I love that. Tracy's a big networker. Like I'm always astounded at how well she stays connected and communicates with people. So I don't know, Tracy, what your thoughts are on that or any other additional advice.
I agree with Shauna. It can be so easy to sort of be mopey and think that nobody likes me, everybody hates me, kind of thing. So I would just encourage, if you're going to celebrate on your own, make sure that you're consciously choosing to celebrate on your own and why you are preferring to celebrate on your own. Otherwise, yes, I agree. Try to remain in touch, try to make sure other people are taken care of, and it will be a much more happy experience either way.
Yeah, I love that. Kind of to Kay's point when we were talking earlier, maybe it was when we were doing your interview, Kay, about just how important ministering is from the perspective of knowing who the people are in your community and making sure you reach out to them, and be thinking about if you're lonely, who else is lonely, or if you're spending it alone and feeling bad, is there somebody that also may need to be connected with? Or
there's really no better medicine than service for when you're feeling down and bad, and just go serve someone and you will feel it's really the cure for so much.
Yeah. And I will say there was some times in my life where I was so down and out in those rough years that I didn't have capacity to serve, but boy, did I have some amazing women and angels that I needed to receive and was willing. It was important to be open to receiving too.
And it's blessing them just as much as it's blessing you.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Because we are trained up to serve, and we know the blessings that come to us through serving other people, but we need to allow other people to have those same blessings by serving us.
It was my hardest thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It does seem hard for everybody, but you're right. You look, if you're going to be alone, there's other people that will be alone too. And having a singles Christmas dinner can actually be a lot of fun. And because I guess we've got children, we're not struggling with that, but I've certainly heard others that have done that and had a great time. And that's so valuable. I'm a bit of a proponent now. I was called the single adult rep, and I was really unhappy about being called that. And yet I've discovered how important the single adult program is, because that's the program that's going to help you know who the other singles are and how to mend with the others. And I was literally, because I've moved to a new ward, and I met a lady there last week, and she invited me down to a dinner on Saturday night. And I literally moved Saturday, and I was too tired. And I went, no, this is the group that I need to get to know. This is
Good for you.
this is my group. This is my new group. But hang around the single adults and go to the activities and get to know the people, because they're the people that, it's like, who am I going to invite if there's don't want to be alone and I don't know what to do? So that's where they'll be. So go find them.
Right.
As I said, half the ward is single, and not everybody's shocked, and it's half the ward is single. Go find them, because there's some lonely people amongst that, some newly divorced who don't know what to do, some newly widows that have no idea what to do, some singles that have never, like, alone, because as you said, it's too hard to travel. If you're working the day before and the day after, you can't. Your family's thousands of kilometers away.
Yeah.
Find them and have a really fun time and do some piece jigsaw puzzle together or something. Do something. Go play some games. There's some, and I like that. I think that's what you said, Kim, was, or I don't know which one said it. Give yourself permission to do it our own way. Like we had dreams, we had ways to do it the way we used to do it. Our families used to do it. But we now have permission to do it different. And I guess that's the message. That's the message Jesus would like us to have, isn't it? It's like we're celebrating his birthday, and his number one rule was love others.
Yeah. So
Seems like a great note to end on.
yes, agreed.
So that was exciting chatting about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. It's good to see you guys. Can't wait till next time. All right. Love you guys.
Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thanks for letting me join you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tracy.
We'll have you on again.
Yeah, a guest person, huh? That'd be great.
Great.
Yeah, we'll see you next time then.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.